Okay, so welcome everyone. Good morning. This is Georgia and Giannis, and we're from Agroknow. And today we're going to speak about how FOODAKAI supplier risk intelligence can help with transforming data into food safety action and how it can help with your supply chain becoming more resilient when it comes to predicting the risk. So starting off, we're going to check, before we dive into some live use cases, we're going to check some challenges and what we hear from the food industry, what we hear from the leaders in the food industry. We have realized that there's some supply chain disruptions and some key risk factors that influence the supply chain decisions. So some of those, you can check them around here actually. We'll start with the most important ones. We have heard from leaders that the production shortages and the disruptions in the supply chain are a huge problem. And then continuing with the geopolitical conflicts, this is also something very important, something that we hear from leaders, discussing it and sharing with us as a main challenge. We also hear about the trade barriers. This is also a very important challenge for them. And of course, the extreme weather events, climate change risks, these are all very important key risk factors that influence our supply chain. So what we also hear is that people working in those companies, food safety, food leaders actually are very, the feelings that they get is that they're afraid of unexpected and new types of risks that they have not seen or dealt before. So they cannot be proactive. They actually become reactive because they haven't seen any of the risks before, so they don't know how to deal with them. The second most important challenge is that they're worried because they lack a comprehensive view of all external risks and hazards affecting the supply chain, so they cannot have a holistic view of what they should have a look at. And also, the last one, the most important challenge for them, is that they're frustrated because many of them are still performing critical risk intelligence in a manual or outdated way, which is something very time consuming and something that is very frustrating for them. So moving on, we're going to check at some real life scenarios, some use cases from our clients. And the first case we're going to look at is about a manufacturer, a large manufacturer. Actually, as you can see the info here, they have over 1,000 materials and ingredients, over 800 suppliers. So we're talking about large manufacturers. And basically what they shared with us is that they had the main pain point. They had a serious issue with one of the foreign suppliers. So basically a contamination event happened and they only found out after the recall. So it was late basically, and they couldn't be proactive. As I said before, they were kind of reactive. So Giannis is going to show us what they did and how can they avoid this event in the future. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Of
much,
course.
Georgia. So first of all, these icons were very terrifying about afraid worry. So I will try to bring again the positive part. So indeed, using all the data that are available right now in the global supply chain for the companies, for the suppliers, indeed we can help in providing the information and making this information about non-conformances very easy to be found and very easy to be used by the people that need to take the decisions. So what our clients are doing is that they are integrating in our platform, in FOODAKAI platform, all the information about the companies from which they are sourcing the ingredients, the companies that they are working together. So we have a customization module where they can add all the information about the company and the source ingredients as we are showing here. And then the platform is continuously monitoring all the information about food recalls, border rejections, inspection results, outbreaks, warning letters that are announced for this company. And every time that there is a new incident for this company, a new information for this company, for your supplier, an alert is sent to the company. And actually, they are calling these alerts actionable alerts, because then they can directly communicate with the supplier. They can check what exactly happened, and they can make sure that they have all the measures in place in order not to have something that will affect their supply chain. So this is about actionable alerts.
Thank you, Giannis. Yeah, so basically you get all the information in one place about the things that you care about the most. So you get all the information in the alerts. And then we move on to the second use case that we have here. This is again about a manufacturer who looks like the previous one. He has over 1,000 materials and ingredients. He's a large one, over 800 suppliers. And in this case, the problem was that when they onboarded a new supplier, they spent weeks gathering all the supplier's documents, something that's very time consuming, and of course the safety records for that supplier. So they shared with us that it's very time consuming to do this on their own, and it doesn't guarantee full transparency. So Giannis is going to show us what we did in this case and how we helped this manufacturer.
So in this case, in FOODAKAI, we have what we are calling suppliers food safety due diligence or suppliers background check. This means that it's super easy to access information about the food safety history of any company. So it makes this information transparent. You can find information about the previous incidents, recalls, border rejections, inspections, warning letters that has been announced for this company. So before onboarding or start the collaboration with the company, you are aware of the full history. Keep in mind that here you are not, it's not so easy to find this information, and it's not possible to find all this information in global supply search engines, because we are pulling information from PDF files, from Excel files that are not always available. And the second thing is that many of this information can be archived already by the food safety authorities. So in some cases, you may search in a global search engine. You are putting the name of the supplier. If there are any recalls, there's no information. But this may not be true, because we have also information that is not available by these global search engines.
Exactly. So even if some information are not available anymore, you can still access it through our platform. And then moving on to the third use case that we have here, again, a manufacturer profile similar to the previous ones, over 1,000 materials and over 800 suppliers. The pain point, the main problem here was that the risk levels for the suppliers and the materials change over time, and it's very hard to keep up, actually. So a supplier that was safe last year might not be safe this year and might have new risks to mitigate today. So how can we keep up with this case? So Giannis?
That's so true. The risks that we have in the global supply chain are changing, and the frequency of this change is getting higher during the last 2 or 3 years. We have constantly new emerging risks for the ingredients, for the materials that I'm sourcing from a company. So we need to deliver something that is more dynamic in terms of risk assessment. It's not enough to have a risk assessment for the company once per year, because there are many risks that can affect this company. So what we are delivering is what we are calling dynamic risk assessment dashboard for all the companies that consolidates information about border rejections, recalls, inspections, warning letters, and this information is used, this profile is used to prioritize effort and to reduce the frequency or to increase the frequency of, for instance, audits for facilities and for companies that are right now at high risk. So in this, one of the very important parts that we have utilized and we have developed in this, if we go to the next slide, is the part of how AI technology can be used to help us in the assessment of the suppliers. So we are using AI-powered forecasts for the risk that may affect your suppliers. So we can highlight to you which are the forecasted risks for specific suppliers, but also for which suppliers it is forecasted that we will have more issues in the next months. And if you ask, but how we are getting this information, we are using the source ingredients and materials that the companies are using in order to forecast the risks in these materials. And this is how we project this risk for the suppliers. And then in the platform, we can create risk matrices with different risk factors like the incident-based risk, the recalls, the border rejections, the warning letters that we have for the companies. And this dashboard, these risk matrices can be used to prioritize the preventive measures like the audits plan for the facilities and for the suppliers. And always the goal is to be able to identify very easy the companies that, based on the risk, emerging risks that we have in the global supply chain, they are at a high risk level right now.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Giannis. And I think we can talk about the business value that they get from all this.
This is very important, of course. So which is the actual values that we see our clients that are getting? First of all, using all this information, then they feel sure that all the risks that may affect the companies that they are working with, the partners, that the stakeholders that they have in their ecosystem, they know about these risks. So they can take these risks into account when they design the preventive measures. The second very important and practical thing is that instead of doing a lot of risk assessment tasks manually, we are helping them to automate these tasks, and they are saving a lot of effort. In some cases, it's weeks of time. And then, of course, the eventual goal is to design more efficient preventive measures like audits, testing plan, which can help them towards the risk prevention, to move just from reacting to preventing things. And of course, to prevent incidents that can be costly and can harm the reputation of a company.
Exactly. Thank you, Giannis. I think we showed exactly how our clients dealt with the challenges they faced in the beginning. So if you want to learn more about this, you can also have free access to the app and get some free actionable alerts like those that we saw before. So feel free to scan the QR code. And of course, you can visit us at the booth 28 so we can continue the discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your attention.